Hello and welcome back to my channel. This time I want to look at another book you may find interesting, especially following on from a video Have You Noticed? So it's something I've actually noticed generally about bikers, that they are rebellious and always questioning, and this book here that I'm going to bring up today has been something that's really affected me when I read it. I thought it was an outstanding book. I think it's very important that everyone's made aware of it. I'm going to give you this one book that Robert Cialdini's done, and then you can research him, look at his other books, look at his other work. It's all incredibly interesting, but I'm going to keep this to the point and as simple as possible to keep the video short. I have to say I've been really enjoying the level of engagement these sorts of videos have been getting, so I do intend on tackling a bunch of interesting books you may or may not have heard of that do actually directly affect all of us. So if you like this video, please subscribe and leave any comments below. I love talking to people in comments. I just wanted to say as well, I think YouTube are deleting some of my comments. I don't know if this is deliberate or a technical issue. So if your comment disappears, it wasn't me, it's YouTube. So please repost it because I love to read them. If I don't get back to your comment, I'll try, but there's often so many I lose track of them. But I really will try. Thank you so much for visiting. So today I want to talk about Robert Cialdini's influence. This also ties into another book by Edward Bernays called Propaganda that I would also recommend reading, but for today I'm just going to talk about the book Influence. I found it an incredibly interesting book. You may or may not have read it. If you had, you don't need to watch the video, you understand, but it's based on 6 core rules. I'll give you a little bit of background on Robert Cialdini as well that you may find interesting. He is an American psychologist and author. He's also a professor of psychology at Arizona State University and also a visiting professor at Harvard. He's the foundational expert in the science of influence and how to apply it. By influence, the less polite version of it is brainwashing, you could say, but it's used by multiple corporations and governments and news agencies as a means to shape people's opinions and persuade them along a certain course of action. His books are very, very interesting. It's actually, in some ways, the book scared me and how easily human beings can be manipulated without even realizing it. But once you know the 6 rules, you start to see it everywhere, so it loses all effect on you. As part of his research, he dove deep into telemarketing firms, sales firms, car dealers. He spent a number of years undercover to learn what worked and what didn't, and then applied his own research to it as well. It's not entirely all bad. It's sort of neutral. It's how the techniques are used and who uses them. Obviously, if you're using the power of persuasion to get people to stop drink driving, that's a good thing. However, a lot of the time it's used nefariously against you, especially in the media, so I can highly recommend reading the book, but here I'll give you a small introduction to it. He's written a number of books and produced a number of papers, but Influence is the best place to start. It covers the 6 basic rules of persuasion, and I'll keep them as short as possible just so you get an understanding of what's going on, and hopefully you'll seek his work out and go and research it yourself. I certainly hope so. If you want to comment or discuss it, please put a comment below. I love that. I love the discussion on the site. I even welcome people that disagree with me as well. So I think debate is the best thing to have, and I just want to get your thoughts on it as well to see if you've noticed it, if it's had an effect on you, and enjoy. So in order, first rule is reciprocity, second rule is scarcity, third rule is authority, fourth is commitment and consistency, fifth is liking, and sixth is consensus or social proof. I'll go through each of them and give an example of how they may be used and how you may have seen them being used. Let's start with reciprocity. So human beings are a tribal creature. They value peace within the tribe, and within that they also value equality and balance. A lot of human beings don't like receiving without contributing themselves. And this is a very deep evolutionary response from being a tribal animal that can be exploited. It's those feelings of social obligation. So say at the simplest level, someone sends you a birthday card, so you feel obliged to send one on their birthday. Simply deep down, it's almost like you feel as if you're not being rude, but it is something that's exploited on a grand scale and used against you. So corporations, governments, various institutions will offer you something. This could be a service, a free gift, tickets to the cinema, a free pen, even free food samples, a visitor's day, any sort of thing they can do to trigger the reciprocity response. So let's just say, for example, a bike dealer offers a barbecue day. It's free, you go down, maybe you get a hat. That sort of thing is always going to incline you more to buy your next motorcycle from them. This is used everywhere, all the time. It's also used as a form of light legal bribery as well. So say someone's going to review a product, the actual corporation can't give the person like just a bribe to say review our product, but they will do it more surreptitiously, and often the people reviewing the product won't realise. So they'll offer you a meal, maybe take you to a hotel, maybe give you a day out. Corporations do this all the time, and anyone in the workplace that's had to deal with this will often find it as well. Maybe you'll get taken to a sports day or something like that. This is to trigger your reciprocity response, so that say you're going to review their product, if they've given you a free holiday in Spain or something, you're going to be much less inclined to write a negative review of their product. Even if the product's not so good, you're not going to be nearly as negative had this response not been initiated within you. Another example of how this may be used against you is in terms of contrast. So if a government or a corporation wants to do something that they know you're not going to like, they will offer you something first and then offer what they actually intended to do later on, once you've reacted to the first one. So let's say, for example, your local government says, we want to sack 10,000 policemen. Now, anyone's going to think that's not a very good idea. Crime, things like that, people are not going to be happy about sacking 10,000 policemen. It seems like a ridiculous number and a ridiculous response. However, the truth is, they probably only wanted to sack 2,000 police officers. So if they come out first in the media and say they want to sack 10,000, they let the furore die down a bit, they pretend to negotiate, then they say, right, you've won, we're only going to sack 2,000 police officers, even although that was the original intent. This is used all the time. You will often see governments doing it, local councils do it, large corporations do it. They will give you the worst example first, and then as a goodwill gesture, they'll give you what they actually want you to do and never tell you about it. I would say this is the most common one in terms of media propaganda, but you will see it everywhere all the time. It's especially prevalent in things like the news and things like that. He uses it in the book. So a local government wanted to put up massive billboards in a residential area. So they made out they were going to do way bigger and more imposing billboards than they actually were going to do. They then dragged out objections from people, things like that, and then in the end they put the actual billboards up, which were much smaller, that they wanted to do in the first place, and the people in the local area think they won. It's all about giving something and letting you think you win and triggering that reciprocity response. The next rule is called scarcity. The less of something there is, the more people tend to want it. This will hold true for experiences and material products as well. From a persuasion and influence perspective, it means that to increase interest in your product or service or what you want to do, you will benefit from reducing its availability. This creates a sense of almost panic in people where they will rush to do something for fear of losing out. It's used especially by corporations to sell you things. You'll notice in your online shopping basket it'll say something like only 2 left. You don't know, there's probably a factory full of them. It's all designed to encourage you to panic and rush into making a purchasing decision without actually knowing how many there actually is, to be honest. There might be thousands, but by saying, oh, there's only 1 left, the incentive is there for you to buy it sooner than you may do. The scarcity also creates a buzz around things as well and gets you some free publicity as well. You will all know there's always a toy at Christmas that everyone wants, and this is often engineered by companies. You may remember a specific toy like Tickle Me Elmo or Buzz Lightyear. They will create an artificial scarcity, induce a panic within people, and then everyone will go out and rush it thinking they're going to miss out. It's a very clever technique, and it's mostly used by corporations to sell you things. You'll see it everywhere online when you know what it is. The third rule is called authority. This is where individuals who are authoritative, creditable and knowledgeable experts in their fields are used to sell you on an idea that you may not agree with. By using a so-called expert in the field, they can build authority and credibility and subconsciously build trust in you. Subconsciously you'll think, well, this person's an expert in their field, and even although I may disagree with what they want to do, I will go along with it because they're the expert and I don't have full knowledge on it, leading you to be more likely to follow them in what they want to do. It's in action in many walks of life, and you will see it often. At the simplest level, they use dentists to sell us toothpaste, or someone might put all their credentials out to increase their power of persuasion over you. So if they send you an email and it's got a list of all their qualifications in it, you're more likely to listen to them and follow them. In terms of an everyday use, you will often see news articles that start with experts say, scientists say, and they don't really go into the detail of who the experts may be or even if they exist. It's just used to subconsciously trigger you into accepting the propaganda. It's often used to sell unpopular policies from governments. So if they wanted to do something particularly that you would disagree with and make a cup of fuzz, they will back it by so-called experts in the field to try and convince you it's the right thing to do. Even if you fundamentally disagree with it, you're more likely to go along with it if authority is involved. You see, most people don't have the time or inclination to fully check into things. So especially in this day and age with so much information coming at you at once, so they're far more likely to just accept something if an authoritative figure says it to be the case, especially if it's combined with things like an impending danger or an impending problem as well. It's a great way to influence public opinion and then drive the propaganda behind it. So the next time you see a news article trying to convince you to do something, if it starts with experts say, you know exactly what's going on. They're trying to introduce the authority rule to convince you before you've even read the article. Most people that aren't aware of this persuasive technique, it will lodge in their subconscious without them even realizing, and they'll go along with it. The fourth rule is commitment and consistency. From a persuasion perspective, this means that if I can convince you to act in a minor way in relation to something, it's more likely that you will find yourself going along with it as it progresses and as you get more involved in it. You're more likely to increase your actions if you're already on that path. It's as simple as, if I get you to do a little thing, then it's more likely you will do a bigger thing after it for me, rather than just go straight to the bigger thing. It's often used to get you into a certain mindset behind a certain idea or product. So a company will use like an introductory offer to get you into an ecosystem. So if you spend a small amount of money and commit to a brand, then it's far more likely you will spend more on that brand later on. It's also used by the government to train behaviour as well. Let's say, for example, the government wanted to build a control grid to track everyone's movements in their vehicles. Now, if they just wanted to install a full control grid, everyone would kick off, there'd be massive pressure against it, and people don't want it. However, they could start by saying, right, we're just going to introduce some cameras and it's for the purposes of safety. Say to control bad driving or speeding or something like that. Then gradually, as people accept that over time, they will introduce more and more cameras and more tracking, so you get used to the idea. They also play it out over years, so it's not like a single force you can rebel against immediately. It comes in very gradually, and you'll see this often with unpopular governmental policy and unpopular things corporations are going to do. One example is they like to promote the idea of tracking children for safety. Now, who's going to disagree with that? That's a reasonable suggestion. But getting the children used to being tracked leads to later in life it's far easier to track them because they're used to the idea. It's very nefarious, very subtle. Corporations and governments use it, and it's used on you all the time. And if you've lived a long time, you can actually see the progression of ideas across society as this takes effect. It can be used for good things. If you get people to do recycling, get people to take care of nature, things like that, then it has a positive net effect. What you've got to remember with these persuasion ideas and with propaganda ideas, it's neutral in of itself. It's the application of it that matters. It can be used in a positive way to get positive directions in society to pull people towards, but most of the time it's used in nefarious ways. So as a good example, as a means to get you to like someone or like a particular idea, they will single you out, they will pay you compliments, they will blow you up, they will talk good things about you, but it's a form of manipulation to get you into doing what they want further down the line. People are far more likely to follow those they like. Likeness builds trust, and then you can use those people to put forward an idea or a product or a suggestion that normally people would be hesitant with. A good example might be in the world of marketing and advertisement. Nearly every advertisement you see will use extremely good looking people, celebrities, comedians, actors to sell you on something. That's because you like them, and you might not actually like the product, but you can be persuaded with their influence. This is pretty much behind most of the social media advertising you see on places like YouTube. You will often see celebrities, say for example a particularly unpopular policy, the government will hire a celebrity or a political party will use a celebrity to promote that opinion as well. They will come on social media, they will say they back it. It could be something as dark as a war. It could be something very simple, such as just wanting you to buy a certain product or buy into a certain brand. But by using people you like, you then trust, and then that has a powerful influence and effect of it on people. Again, subconsciously, most people don't even realize this is going on, but it's used all the time. I've no doubt you've seen it already, probably noticed it. And often you see celebrities put opinions out and you're like, why the hell are they doing that? It's not even in their remit. Like, why is a comedian promoting a certain attitude or service or government policy? That's where it comes from. The final rule, consensus or social proof, is the last of Cialdini's 6 rules. Humans are social by nature. We're a tribal animal, and we generally feel it's important to conform to the norms of a social group, which is quite funny talking to bikers, given we're supposed to be rebellious. It means that come to decision making, we often look around to see what others are doing before we make our mind up. At the most simple level, a restaurant with lines outside and a positive review is going to encourage you more to try that restaurant. Positive reviews are often bought online, so if you go to look at a product and it has a whole list of positive reviews, you don't know how real many of them are, but they do influence your decision on whether you're going to buy that product or not. Positive consensus might mean that you encourage people to not drink drive, which is a good thing. If it becomes socially wrong and the group don't like it, people are far less likely to do certain activities like drink driving or general misbehaviour, so it's a great way of keeping a population in line. Often you'll see articles saying most people the majority of people. They will start like that as a means to build the social consensus subconsciously within you, so you're far more likely to go along with it. In a simple advertising sense, 8 out of 10 people prefer this product. In a darker sense, they may say something like, for example, more electric cars were sold this year than diesel cars. And then your social consensus subconscious is going to buy into that and think, maybe I should get an electric car then. And this is a great method of getting you to get into an ecosystem or a product that you might have not normally considered. Even although if you dig into the data behind it, it's not actually accurate. But again, there's so much information coming at you all the time. It's very unlikely that you have the time to dig into these things and see what's the actual motivation behind it. But you should always be cautious. If a group is trying to sell you on an idea, either through marketing or socially, you have to think to yourself, is this the right thing to do? You shouldn't be pressured into doing anything because of social conformity. You should always do your own research, think about it and reflect back on it and say, is this right for me? It's one of the hardest things to do as an individual, is to stand up to the group and refuse to do what everyone else is doing. Subconsciously, you're diving into deep evolutionary responses there, because one of the biggest fears of a human is they will be ostracized by the tribe, which in the wild would have meant certain death. So it takes a particularly rebellious, strong character to go against the social consensus. And talking to bikers, of course, a lot of you are that person, because how many people try to stop you getting a motorbike? You'll know yourself, loads of people say you're going to die and all this sort of thing, but you pushed on because it was something you wanted to do. What you have to understand is most of the population are not like that. Most of the population will conform to social norms. Even if they seem insane, people will just go along with it because they don't want to be ostracized from the tribe, so to speak. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. I hope it opened your eyes a little bit. I strongly suggest that you go and read Influence and also his other books. Persuasion is also an outstanding book. Very easy reads, full of absolutely golden information. And when you go through them and look at his work, you will have a very different outlook on life and the society you live in as well. I love talking about these sort of subjects that interest me, and I will post more videos on interesting books and interesting ideas on my channel. Thank you so much for visiting. I hope you have a lovely day, and bye-bye!